Hey, what's good, gamers? Akalon here, and of course, welcome back to each and every one of you. I, of course, love stories, and that's pretty much what I do on this channel. We just got massive reveals for The War Within, and I thought it only prudent that we discuss it. Now, I will be going through news and stuff like that in the coming weeks when it comes to, sort of The War Within and everything that's coming. There's always something interesting to discuss from a gameplay perspective and so on and so forth, but my main focus in WoW will always be the story. That's just what I love most. So let's talk about the only story that we really know for a fact right now that is happening, and then just try to clear up some of the misconceptions around that story. And then more importantly, I want to talk about, some of the speculations that I may be having for this. Now, the alpha, as people have been able to play it, and I believe alpha keys will be going out shortly, or maybe already have. I, of course, didn't get a key if it has already gone out. And, for those of you that are going to be playing it, what you're going to be met with when you get into the game is you'll start the game right after the intro quest line. So we've already been informed by Ian and the team from Wowcast that the intro quest line we will not get to see on the alpha or even on the beta. That will only be available once the game goes live. What we do load into is the first zone of the War Within, and around us is debris scattered throughout. And you can look at the debris and immediately go, oh shit, that's Dalaran. It looks like Dalaran, and it's already been confirmed that it is indeed Dalaran. Now, the exact notions of what happened there, that is something that Blizzard is keeping particularly tight-lipped about. So they've confirmed that the Nerubians attacked Dalaran. What they have not confirmed is where was Dalaran when this was taking place. Was Dalaran still in the old Legion location? Did it go back to the Crystal Song Forest? Was it near Karazhan? Where was Dalaran? No one actually knows. So the Nerubians attacking is a very interesting concept. Now, from my perspective and from what I'm thinking, I don't quite understand why Dalaran would make its way there. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, just purely based on the fact that Dalaran, up until now at least, isn't really involved in the story. Khadgar, maybe, but remember, Khadgar doesn't have full control of Dalaran, so Khadgar alone wouldn't be able to move Dalaran there, and maybe there is something bigger with the Kirin Tor, and the Kirin Tor may have actually responded to the same visions, wanting to move in there, because the visions from Azeroth is actually huge, by the way. There's another quest line where we actually go to speak to Magni, because people are trying to make sense of these visions. And Magni is not happy. He is not happy at all, because he believes that Azeroth abandoned him, that Azeroth have, he made his entire life, he dedicated to Azeroth, and he basically spent all of that time trying to save Azeroth. I mean, Azeroth just dropped him, just stopped speaking to him entirely. Now, one might make connections there, and again, this is speculation, so I do like doing that. It's almost as if the voices, the whispers, stopped the second we took care of N'Zoth, which would be interesting, because why would Azeroth be quiet? She has no reason to be. She has a speaker. Obviously, she wants us to do things, because otherwise she wouldn't be speaking to us in the first place all the way back in Legion. So just an interesting little aside there. The second N'Zoth was taken care of, it's like Azeroth completely stopped speaking to us. Now, for those of you that weren't here during Legion, this was one of the biggest speculations I had on this channel, and I think many others had the same speculation, that these whispers that Magni is hearing isn't actually from Azeroth, but is actually from N'Zoth himself. Because a lot of the things that ultimately Magni and we ended up doing played very much into the favor of the Void. So the argument was, if this was from Azeroth, then there is a much closer connection between Azeroth and the Void than what was previously believed to be the case, or it is in fact just the Void that's whispering to him, and therefore Azeroth was never in any danger, and in fact, it was the Void that was trying to stop whatever the Sword was doing, and not so much Azeroth that was trying to stop it. But anyways, we know now that these whispers do in fact, or these visions do in fact come from Azeroth, and Magni tries to actually get the visions to work, and something goes wrong. We don't exactly know because cutscenes are not available, but Magni ends up flat on his back, knocked the hell out. So we don't exactly know what that story is all about. But clearly these visions are going out to more people than just Anduin and Thrall. Almost everyone is getting these visions now, and that would include the Kirin Tor. Remember, they're very much connected to Azeroth. They govern the ley lines, or at least track the ley lines. So they're very sort of involved in the happenings of Azeroth. And so if they were getting these visions, there's a good chance that they may move Dalaran there. But the Nerubians attacked, and from what we can tell at least, the Nerubians may have won that battle, because what was left after the fight is definitely not the whole of Dalaran. So where Dalaran is at this point is anyone's guess, but there are pieces of it that's completely broken out. Now, what has been confirmed, because Taliesin did an interview with, I believe, Ian, as he goes, or just spoke to Ian about this, and Ian didn't want to say what happened to Khadgar, but we were informed that whatever it is isn't good. And from Blizzard's perspective, what they're trying to do with the War Within is similar to what they did in Legion. They are trying to make sure that the players understand that there are stakes in what's happening here. So this isn't going to be one of those expansions where everything just goes our way. Things can go wrong, and when things go wrong, very powerful or very beloved characters may actually die. And from what they've been sort of dropping hints of, no one is safe this expansion. Things may just be heating up quite a bit. So with that being said, let's talk about this. It is not confirmed anywhere that Khadgar is dead. Nowhere do we know whether or not Khadgar is dead. All we know at the moment is that Khadgar is missing. His body has not been found. We have the debris of Dalaran all scattered about, but Khadgar himself is gone. Now, if the Nerubians are involved in this and Khadgar didn't manage to escape, basically porting, Dalaran away from all this nonsense, Khadgar is worth far more alive to Xal'atath than what Khadgar is dead. Remember, Khadgar is one of the most powerful mages on Azeroth, really only surpassed by Azshara herself. And maybe Jaina could equal him in power, although I doubt it. But what Khadgar is actually far more important for is knowledge. And yes, I realize knowledge is power, all that nonsense, but that's not really the point. Khadgar is the only one with unfettered access to Karazhan. Now, for those of you that might be asking, but Aklon, why Karazhan? What is so important about Karazhan? Well, Karazhan is arguably one of the most interesting and most fundamental parts of Azeroth. And of course, Khadgar is the only one with unfettered access to Karazhan. Karazhan stands in the Deadwind Pass. The Deadwind Pass called that because the Deadwind Harvester, the weapon that the Warlocks had during Legion, was used to basically suck all life from that zone. And the only thing that's really left there of power was this font of immaculate amount of foul magic. And on top of that, Karazhan was built. This gave Karazhan a couple of very unique traits. And the biggest of those is Karazhan is the only building or the only structure on Azeroth that pierces both reality as well as the Twisting Nether. You can enter the Twisting Nether through Karazhan, and in fact, Medivh has done this multiple times. This gives Medivh, as well as Khadgar, the ability to gather knowledge that would otherwise be inaccessible to ordinary mortals. And Karazhan is also the largest library on Azeroth. In fact, there's information inside Karazhan that is literally off limits to the mortals of Azeroth. That is why it is consistently protected and why there's wards on a lot of the books and a lot of the sections of Karazhan that simply does not allow access to it, because the information inside Karazhan is considered to be life and death kind of important. And I would actually argue that there's probably information there that not even Khadgar really understands, because a lot of that information may actually deal with beings of the twisting nether, maybe even beings of the void. So for Xal'atath, getting access to Karazhan may just be everything. That may be the thing that she needs in order to open a portal for the Void Lords to finally come through. Because remember, there are currently places where the Void could potentially come through. For one, the raid, Aberrus. There's a Void portal and literally a hole inside that goes straight to the Void, and yet no Void Lords have made their way through there, which to me suggests that this is similar to what happened to Sargeras. We know that the Twisting Nether and the demons can open portals for demons to come through to Azeroth. The problem is none of them can open a portal that is strong enough to sustain a being of the power of Sargeras. And so you need a special kind of portal to get something that powerful through. And it may be exactly the same thing. Through Aberrus, yes, they could send faceless ones and they could send generals of the Void, but a true Void Lord would simply not be able to come through. It would collapse under the sheer amount of power that it would require and that would be required for this being to come into our reality. And Xal'atath being the harbinger of the Void, now having that weird Dragon Soul looking thing, I imagine that Dragon Soul looking thing has a book inside Karazhan that explains exactly how that weird Dragon Soul looking thing needs to be used in order to open a portal for a Void Lord. So Khadgar, very much better alive than dead, because dead, he's not helping you get into Karazhan, and, well, Karazhan is then kind of locked for everyone. But then there's also another little bit that we need to talk about, and that, of course, is Azshara. Azshara, we know, is looking for the seat of ultimate power on Azeroth. Now, part of me thinks that Karazhan might just be that, because Karazhan, if we're talking about power, Karazhan really is that. And if you consider that the Guardian of Tirisfal literally lives inside Karazhan, and the Guardian of Tirisfal is the Guardian of Azeroth itself, so a very powerful mage. Azshara is the most powerful mage on Azeroth, and if she could get her hands on whatever is inside Karazhan, that may actually be a lot of help. So we may actually be dealing here with a bit of a bait and switch. The Nerubians attacked Dalaran, but the Nerubians were actually not attacking Dalaran in order to attack Dalaran, but the Nerubians were attacking Dalaran in order to stop Azshara from gaining access to Dalaran, because with Dalaran's access, Azshara would be able to get to Khadgar, and this would then give her access to Karazhan. So we may actually be dealing with an expansion here that have multiple villains. Azshara on the one hand doing Azshara things, whatever that may be, and Xal'atath on the other hand doing Harbinger things, again, whatever that may be. Or, and this, I'm not entirely sure which one is more scary, but it could be that they're working together. In which case, Azshara and Xal'atath attacked Dalaran with one goal in mind, and that is to gain access to Khadgar, to gain access to Karazhan. I don't know which one is true, but I do want to lay to rest this idea, everyone seems to be talking about it, that Khadgar is dead. That's not confirmed. All we know is that whatever has happened to Khadgar, at least from everything that I could find, if I'm wrong, great, show me where it says that. But if I'm looking at the interviews that Taliesin had done, the things that Taliesin had said, if I'm looking at the things that Ian himself have said, none of it suggests that they know for a fact that Khadgar is dead, only that whatever has happened to Khadgar isn't good. Right? So, and I think where a lot of people get this thing where Khadgar is indeed dead, they're getting that from Ian's line where he says it's similar to the opening of Legion. We believe that our game requires stakes. People need to believe that bad things can and will indeed happen. That doesn't mean death. It can mean a lot of things. It can mean death, but it can also mean a bunch of other things. And also, maybe it is a bit of a bait and switch. They don't want us to have access to that story So maybe having us believe that Khadgar is dead gives them a nice sort of twist later on to say, oh, actually not dead, actually far worse. If only he was dead, that would actually have been much better. Anyways, I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this. Remember to hit the like if you liked, dislike if you didn't, and then for $1 a month, you too can help keep this channel free from sponsorships that want to sell you stuff that you do not need. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching, and as always, be kind to each other, be good to each other, and I will see all of you in the next one. Peace.